So just remember that, and again, a lot factors into your transfer time, right? So a lot of students work full time, which doesn't allow them to take a load of 15 units or more. Some of us, like myself, when I started here, there was no AB 705 or guided self placement, so I actually started in classes that were not transferable. So I was in an English 848 class and a Math 120 class before I could start transfer level English and Math. There are several majors, for example, computer science and engineering or pre-med, where there is quite a bit of major preparation that are required, and there are several prerequisites before you can take the major courses. So just think about that. Also, many Cal State universities and private universities do allow spring transfer, and there are some UCs, like in some cases, UC Santa Cruz has admitted students as spring admits. Sometimes UCs will defer your admission from fall to spring. So I know that I've had several classmates that were transfers, or even freshmen admits to the UC that were called spring admits. So again, just think of these factors. Another myth that we often hear from students is like, I plan to just start out with my GEs and then transfer. I'll often see that with even parents and guardians, like, oh, just do your GEs and then figure it out. What's really important to note is that actually the general education can actually be guided by the major, right? So the example I gave earlier in the lecture was a business major, right? So if you're a business major, why not get your 6 units in your social science from economics, since it is required to do that, right? It might not make as much sense to take a bunch of sociology classes, though they're great. And again, I'm a undergrad major myself, but again, it might, for time reasons and saving time and money, and also taking classes that count towards the major, why not double up by completing those Econ 100 and Econ 102 classes for social science if you're a business major, right? So again, just some key points here. General ed is not the same for every major. Again, it'll be different if you're a STEM major. As I mentioned, there's a lot more major prep for science, technology, engineering, and math majors. And also, a lot of the classes, they might recommend completion of English 100 or 105 in order to be successful, though it may not be required. There may be a high level of reading and writing, so just keep that in mind. So next I'm going to kind of close out the lecture by talking about the timetables depending on where you are as a student, right? So if you're in your first semester, your first 0 to 15 units, this is the time where you really want to start exploring your major options. You want to really brush up on your math and English skills, because these are foundational skills that you'll use for any major. So every major will require that critical thinking and writing. Just about every major will use math in some way, right? You also want to attend the transfer day or transfer fairs that they host. We already had our general transfer fair, but there's actually an international student transfer fair coming up at CSM, which is open to actually all students. So you might want to check that out. I think we have about 15 to 17 schools coming to that transfer fair in November. You also want to think about going and joining the transfer club, because again, they do a lot of work around exploring schools and majors. They go on college campus visits. You get to get connected with Mike Mitchell, who is the transfer coordinator at College of San Mateo. And again, there's a reason in our assignment in this class we're focusing on assist and College Board. These are terrific resources for you to search. Again, the other we added in there was niche.com. And thank you for our intern Minann for telling us about niche.com as a resource for our students. Okay, so if you're in your second semester or units 16 to 30 that are transferable, this is where you really want to buckle down and start looking at major options, right? If you don't already have a major, right? You want to consider at least 3 schools, right? So the way we talk about it is a plan A, plan B, or plan C, or you can have a dream aspirational school. You can have a school that you have a pretty good chance of getting in, and then plan C could be the surefire thing, maybe a regional school that has a guarantee like San Francisco State or Cal State East Bay that you'll be admitted into that school for sure. So that's a really good way to go about it. Again, different students have different abilities to apply to different schools, and applications cost a lot. Of course, we have programs like EOPS, extended opportunity programs and services that can assist with application fees. And also there are several private universities that do offer waivers for their application as well. In your second semester, as you finish it up, you want to check for eligibility for transfer admission guarantees as well. Because again, you need to have at least 30 transferable units complete to be tag eligible, remember. And the tags, you're signing up for those in September of your second year, the year before you transfer, okay? So it's really key to consult and meet with your counselor, I believe every semester, but this is what you're going to be doing for semester 2, okay? So semester 3, this is the 31 to 45 units, and maybe in there you're taking summer school or something like that. You're going to want to continue to explore schools, but actually this is where you're completing the tag if you're eligible, right? And again, for some of you, taking summer school could be a really good option that could push you over the top to be eligible. Maybe it's sacrificing a few hours at work so you can take maybe 16 units instead of 13 units. These are things to think about because you do need to have the unit requirement for tag. And also you want to have completed your English courses and math courses prior to applying for the tag, right? If possible. So again, some schools will have exceptions where you can complete the English by the end of the fall, but for the most part, the safe bet is to have your English done the year before, or before the tag is submitted. So again, also in this third semester or second year, in the fall, you're applying to most schools. So now, if you're in your second year, a lot of second year students or third year students that are ready to transfer next year, they are applying or have applied to the UCs and CSUs and private schools and out-of-state schools. Remember that the application is due on November 30th for the UCs and CSUs. So the CSU's application has been open since October. It's currently November, so the UC application just opened, but they both have the same deadline of the 30th, right? And again, from the last lecture, I want to emphasize the tag sign up is actually earlier than the applications are due, okay? And I really like this that Martin had highlighted is if you get a chance, really visit the school to see if it's the right fit and feel for you. You have a lot of opportunities to do that locally through our transfer club and organization. If you're in EOPS, you can take advantage of the SoCal field trip that happens during spring break. You can visit schools like UCLA, but really visit the school to see if it's a good fit and right for you, and if you can see yourself there. That would be a great tip. A lot of them are open on weekends and have convenient hours for families and you, and they'll work around because they want to see you there. And then finally, in your last semester, your last 45 to 60 units, you're really going to be looking to complete everything. So again, if you're not completing what you had planned to complete or listed on your UC or CSU applications, that could adversely affect you. So be sure to complete and pass all your classes, and just stay focused, because your grades are still going to continue to be important even in your last semester. Especially if you're looking to go to graduate school, again, all of your grades will count. Noted here is that private and independent schools and universities, usually their application deadlines are much later than the public schools. So you might see those in February, March, some in January, whereas the UCs and CSUs are in November. But keep in mind that some private universities do offer early admissions and give incentives for students to apply early, okay? Like they might let you in early if you commit early. What's really good too is there is something called the Common Application, which is very similar to how the UCs and CSUs have their application where you can apply and apply it to multiple schools. The Common Application, Common App, also known as the Common App, can be used in that way, right? So definitely follow up on your application requirements. At this time too, you will also hear back from schools, so they may have orientations or weekends where you can come out and check out the school and shadow folks, but just completing what you need to get done. And also, if you're eligible to graduate and participate in the commencement ceremony, you want to be sure to sign up for the commencement ceremony. And if you're getting a degree or certificate, you want to make sure that you are applying for your certificate and degree by the deadline on WebSmart, okay? So that was a lot of information on transfer and associate degrees in private and independent colleges and universities, as well as UCs and CSUs. So what I'm going to do is give you the opportunity in our discussion to ask any questions that you have. So want to take this time to honor our veterans, as we have Veterans Day weekend coming up. So I hope you all have a safe, fun, and relaxing weekend. Take care, and see you on Canvas.